Hola, señor, señoritas, ¿cómo estás? Listen. Oda recently clearly eating a lot of Wheaties, a lot of protein in his diet because he is flexing on the fandom. SBS bombshells. And recently, Oda dropped a big one for Zoro and his family. I did a video on that one last week. Check it out over here because, yo, this is very controversial. I know folks hate it. I know folks like it. Watch that video after this video because this video is going to be all about my main man, Sanji, and what Oda reveals in the latest SBS 105 for Sanji. Let's get right into it. The question is this. In chapter 1031 of volume 102, Sanji's eyebrows were reversed, but in chapter 1044 of volume 103, they returned back to normal. Why did they change back to normal? Oda's response: you have a good eye. Indeed, Sanji's eyebrows changed. Going back to the Whole Cake Island arc, Sanji's siblings were each born with superhuman abilities and a strong exoskeleton due to the manipulation of the lineage factor. However, due to his mother's interference, Sanji was born a normal human. Let's take a look at his siblings' eyebrows now. All of their eyebrows are like Yonji's double sixes. Sanji's are the complete opposite though. However, his latent power of science manifested in the wake of his fight due to the raid suit, which already gave him an abnormal resistance to heat in the past. It was a mystery before, but now it finally makes sense. Let's continue to watch over him in the future. And I'd argue without a doubt, the future for Sanji looking very, very bright. Now, as a lot of folks have already noted, obviously, Sanji's eyebrows did change, and it happened, of course, in chapter 1031 when his body stopped transforming. And based on Queen's comments in 1029 about Judge's experiments on his kids, there are four main things that come with the superhuman body. Number one, an exoskeleton. Number two, abnormal regeneration. Number three, great physical strength. And number four, quote, most importantly, an unfeeling heart of ice. Now, of course, the last one, we chuck that to the side because that is a nerf masquerading as a buff. And the other three, we can assume fully assimilated into Sanji's body at that point in time in 1031. And again, the main notation for that is a change in Sanji's eyebrows and then Sanji saying that his body had finally stopped itching. But Oda's comments reveal that Sanji's body had the power of science somewhat active within it in the past. He may have been a normal human being at birth, but then at some point in time, he started to gain abnormal heat resistance, and the basis of that is the lineage factor manipulation. We have seen breadcrumbs of this for, let's say, the entire story of One Piece, even going all the way back to the Baratie arc, because we see Pearl light the entire fin on fire, and Sanji is quite literally chilling in the middle of this blaze, seemingly unfazed. And as Arda noted on his Twitter page about this, it is also likely the reason why Sanji doesn't get burned or feel pain when he spins around and activates the devil leg in the pre-time skip. So keep in mind here that other members of the Germa 66 family have shown the capability to use unique abilities outside of their raid suits. Like, for example, Niji, when he fought against Sanji, he could use electricity without the need of actually having his raid suit on. And then in the last SBS 104, Oda does mention that Reiju, because of Judge's experiments, has basically always had a high resistance tolerance for poison. So Sanji is in the same vein as the sister, but when it comes to resistance, it's heat rather than poison. And also, what's even more interesting on top of all this is the fact that Sanji's natural resistance is also in lockstep with one of the innate abilities of the raid suits themselves, where these suits do have a degree of fire heat mitigation. And we see it very clearly in chapter 869 when they put the raid suits on in the middle of the wedding and they're inside a column of fire. The Germa siblings are unfazed and unscorched. And peep this too for a second. We have seen Sanji use the raid suit approximately 3 times over the course of Wano Country. And in all of those incidences, not once, not a single time did Sanji use his devil leg. The reason why, up in the air. Maybe he didn't want to, maybe he couldn't for some reason, maybe it's like more of a symbolic play because the raid suit represents a heart of ice, frozen status, let it go, maybe? Huh? But ultimately it never came to be. So Oda's comments are important because they do give us more insight as to how Sanji's abilities operate, that natural heat resistance. However, we have to now beg the question that Oda didn't answer. Yo, Oda is sneaky. In the SPS itself, the person's question is, why did Sanji's eyebrows change back to normal? And Oda does not answer that question at all. We see in 1035, after the fight against Queen, we don't see his face and he passes out. Then we see in the color cover of 1036, we don't see his face as well up until later on that same chapter when his head's on the pillow and we do see his face and his eyebrow has reverted back to normal. Is there a timer on the ability? Was that a reset for the ability itself? Was it a stamina issue because of the fight itself? Or was it a stamina issue because of the ability itself? We just do not know. But now the question is, hold on. Even though Sanji's eyebrows are back to normal, does he still innately, naturally have all of the German power-ups? The exoskeleton, abnormal regen, and a stronger body as well. Is that now a passive like the other German kids? Or let's say like a Zone Defu user, he has to transform his eyebrow back to the 6 to gain access to all those things. Or maybe just a few of those things. And then the other things are now complete passives. So he has now definitively a stronger body and let's say some degree of abnormal regen, but the exoskeleton only appears now when his eyebrow goes to a 6, which means he can't use Ifrit Jambe unless he activates his exoskeleton to handle the immense power and temperature of that skill. We don't know, but I get the feeling that the reason why Oda ducked that question was because Oda has the intention of telling us through the manga at some point in the near future more details about Sanji and his power scheme, because we are on Egghead Island. This is a science tech heavy based place and we're in the presence of 7 Vegapunks. So this arc would be a great time to answer some of these questions, but particularly there is one question that Oda has not exactly addressed as well for Sanji's power scheme with his reveal of Sanji's innate heat resistance. And as Arda noted to again his post, this does not mean that it is the origin of the devil leg itself. Not the first iteration where he spins around, but going into the post time skip where he could just combust at will. His leg, his whole body with Hell's Memories, Ifrit Jambe. We still don't know if that is lineage factor manipulation related. It could, let's say, be hockey related, or let's say it involves Sora, his mother. Maybe she has some past, some history that ties some unique powers, and the poison that she took delayed Sanji's genetic modifications enough to the point where he could tap into his mother's power. And then Sanji, let's say, utilizes fire-based stuff because of her. Or let's say it's an amalgamation of hockey plus lineage factor-based stuff. Whatever the answer is, you have to keep in mind that Oda did not tell us in the latest SBS. So once again, as you've noticed, Oda's, taking the time, the care, making sure that everything with Sanji is clean, cut, and pristine. And seemingly gonna save this material for the manga. And I like it. Ultimately, we have to kind of harken back and adhere to Oda's old comments in older SBSs, where he stated way back when that Sanji's passion, his heart, burned hotter than fire. Back then, that old SBS, it applied to Jabra and the first devil egg. But we saw in Wano Country in 1023, that was brought up once again by Sanji from the Queen. When Queen asked Sanji, "Are you a Lunarian?" he said, "No. It's simply put my passion. My passion surpasses the temperature of flame." Which of course is super vague, but Oda will seemingly reveal this in the right time and the right place. The humanity that is still within Sanji, the thing that Sora sacrificed herself to maintain within one of her children, that is the key, of course, that separates himself from the rest of his siblings. Because in all honesty, you can easily argue, and Judge did see for himself too, that Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji in particular, those three are way more inhuman than, let's say, superhuman. It is Sanji who is on the trajectory. Nay could already be a true blue superhuman. But that is that. Let me know your thoughts on this topic at hand. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on that bell to join the notification squad. I'm gonna see you cats on the flip side.